across all platforms. And today we're going live, and we're going live to discuss anything you guys want to discuss. Essentially, Blue Jays, big stuff happening. We had some kind of, sort of, maybe Kawhi Leonard news yesterday. We had a couple international signings that the Jays are projected to make. There's lots going on in Major League Baseball, Ketel Marte. There's lots going on in the NFL as well. So I figured, honestly, with so many different things going on right now, that we just open it up and we just say whatever you guys want to talk about, whatever things you want to discuss, whatever topics you feel are the way you want to go. That's what we're going to do today. We're just going to leave it up to whoever the people that show up and whatever questions they want to ask for. Jimmy's going to a game this weekend. That's sick, man. I'm excited for you. And like on a personal note too, I just want to say that, we recorded the first episode of my podcast with my buddy Slumdog Hoops. And that's all going to be coming out in a couple weeks. We're recording another episode tomorrow or Thursday. Sorry, Thursday. I got my days mixed up there. And I just want to say, with the stuff that's going on with True Sports Live, on a note for myself, we have so much crazy stuff coming up, so many opportunities that have kind of come out of nowhere for me that I didn't expect to happen this soon. We have hooked ourselves up potentially with a TV network where we're going to have access to a lot of different sports teams and a lot of different events. I'm expanding my coverage with True Sports to deal with the NFL and college sports and Major League Baseball as well. There's lots coming up, and there's going to be lots of at game access stuff that's going to be happening for me over the next few months. So it's a really exciting time for me. It's a really exciting time for the channel, for my new opportunities. The podcast is coming out big time. Obviously I am Cheap Seats. My co-host is Slumdog Hoops, Malik. And our new podcast will be called Slummin' in the Cheap Seats, and it's going to be available across all platforms in a couple weeks. And we're super excited, man. It's super excited. We've got some guests lined up, and some guests that I had no idea we'd have access to, which is crazy. So I'm having the opportunity to talk to a couple people who are genuinely heroes of mine. So I have no idea what my life is right now. I have no idea what my life is right now. It's a genuinely crazy time where, I started doing social media, doing sports-based social media. Obviously, I've been doing social media for quite some time, but I started doing sports-based social media about a year ago. And it was a point for me to, allow an outlet for myself to talk about shit I'm really passionate about. And I didn't have a lot of expectations for it. I didn't know if people would watch. I didn't know if people would like it. I didn't know if people would listen. And, a year later, I've had, opportunities for CBC to let me cover a Raptors playoff game from Jurassic Park. I've met a ton of people. I've gotten some brand offers, I've had access to sporting events. I have people recognizing me when I'm walking around in Toronto and stuff. It's a really wild time. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that's given me the support and given me the opportunity to do these things, because it's been absolutely brilliant. And like I said, when Slumming in the Cheap Seats, gets onto platforms, support it, give it a chance. As of today, I have merchandise as well. I opened up a merch store today. A couple people had been really, really talking to me about getting merch. I need to get merch. It's a good way to fund the stuff that I want to be able to do in terms of going to more events, going to more sporting games, and getting out into the community more and affording to do all that stuff, because tickets to games are not cheap. And so if people want to support the channel by getting merch, it's in my link tree now. And all of that stuff is available. And like I said, it's really exciting time for me, because like I said, I didn't expect these things to materialize the way they have, and the support's been really cool. And anyways, that's my little diatribe about that. And on to the questions. Sato. Yeah, Sato, man, it's super fun. There's a couple prospects in Asia right now that are very, very exciting. And anytime you can get some with power, it's always a little bit more tantalizing than contact based prospects. And when you're talking about a I think 27-year-old in Sato, like a reasonably big guy as well, big time power. Like this year, he's hitting the cover off the ball. Like he's on pace for another 40 home run season again. And the swing stuff has really clicked because in previous years, like, there's a ton of power. But there was a ton of swing and miss, and in a league where there's not as much swing and miss. And now this year, like he's up nearly hitting 320. Like I said, like he's near 30 home runs already. Um, where would you play him? Who knows? Third base, I guess. First base, maybe. Who knows? There's still going to be questions about that, but like he's a very, very exciting player. And if the price point was right, I could actually understand that. The listeners call go on gate 14 already. I was talking to Johnny today actually. So I have a passive relationship with those guys. We have talked about doing stuff, so I imagine at some point it's going to happen. Either they'll come join me or I'll go join them. Obviously this last little while I hadn't been doing as much baseball, so we kind of put things on the back burner, but Johnny and Avery have been really, really good to me and really gracious with their time with me. So at some point you'll probably see that crossover happen. Yeah, the international free agent signings today for the Jays were very, very exciting. Obviously they're time away, right? Like it's not something that's happening right now. It's not something that's happening next week, right? Like Junior Fortunato is going to be signed in January. $3.2 million signing bonus, which we've given out a signing bonus of that size twice in the last 11 years. And it was Emmanuel Bonilla and Vladimir Guerrero Jr., right? It's very, very rare the Toronto Blue Jays go with the approach of handing out big, big, big dollars. Obviously, Bonilla hasn't worked out that great yet. Unfortunately, the power tool just never developed, which happens when you sign 16-year-olds. And let's just be real. Fortunato is big-time power. Like it's big time power. And if you want to talk about big time power, the Jays also, this has been rumored for a really long time. But it's become more as official as you can with as these things go. Angel Montas looks like it's signed, and it looks like it's gonna be north of $5 million, like $5.5 million. This is one of the best power hitting prospects to come out of international free agent signing, like from Latin America in many, many, many years. He is incredibly young. They cannot sign him until the beginning of 2028. So this is a year and a half away still. This kid is freaky strong, and there are big tools all across the field already. It's a very exciting day. Now, these things can change. These deals have a tendency to move and evolve and alter and sometimes disappear rapidly. But this was one that's been rumored for the better part of a year now. And today it seems like it's actually gone down where, things have been put to paper, let's say. But Angel Montes is a scary, scary dude, man, with massive power. Like we're talking like legitimate 70 grade power here, which is very rare. Like he has grown man power as a young man. And Alejandro Kirk is having a month. There's a shot right there, 4-0 Jays in the third inning. I made a video saying how this was going to be a measuring stick series to see how competitive the Jays are. George Springer just knocks a single right there. Yeah, I'm watching the game while I'm live streaming. Of course I am. But this is where it's at. This is a measuring stick series for this team, right? Yeah. So somebody's saying that baseball badly needs to revamp their international free agency system. And I don't disagree. It's almost impossible to do it. That like people can talk about the international draft all they want. It's tough. It's tough to legislate these things. That's all I'm going to say is it's tricky. So we'll see if there's a CBA acknowledgement of it this winter. But they've talked about international draft shit since I was a kid, and it's never happened. So, despite the fact that, yes, I agree, there needs to be a revamp to the system. It causes all sorts of issues because of, obviously how we make acquisitions through Asia as well factors into the international signing period. And there's so much to it, but there's only so much you can do, but we'll see what happens. Cooper Davis, hello. Perfect homer. Yeah, I agree. Let's go. Kawhi is coming home. Well, you have to assume that it's going to happen, right? You have to assume that Kawhi is going to be coming home here. Like I said, the reports yesterday, there's no reason for me to believe that the reports are inaccurate. I think that most of this is the NBA just wanting to release things on their terms because it's a case sensitive issue. So they want to be able to do their disclosure and their release of information on their terms and lay out their cautionary measures and everything else before they just say that, yeah, that's a correct report. So that's the way it seems to me. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah. So is Montez one of the greatest international free agents ever? It's hard to grade that, right? Like it's hard to grade that, but like in recent years there are very 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 few players that have the loud tools that he does. Like that's the thing I'll say is when it comes to just like outwardly loud tools, very few players have Montez's tools, and they are loud. And it's not just the power; it's the swing, it's the arm, like all of the talent. He's not like a runner. His running speed isn't great or anything. He's a big bodied kid, but man, like I tell you, when it comes to the bat and the arm, there are weapons all over this kid. It's pretty impressive. Yeah, I don't see why Dallas would make that trade. You know what I mean? Like, so if somebody's asking, what do you think of the mock trade? Raptors getting Kyrie, Dallas getting Quick, Jacoby in a first. I don't think Dallas would want to tie up long-term money in quickly. Just because, like I said, Kyrie, worst case scenario, like let's say he comes back, he plays for them and he's great. They can sign Kyrie Irving to an extension, that will probably be shorter term. If he comes back and he's great and they trade him, they can get assets for him and potentially cap space. And if he walks in the offseason, they just get cap space. Picking up the first is helpful. I don't know if the Raptors would necessarily want to deal a first at this point, though. And Jacoby Walter, that would really thin out their wing room pretty substantially. But like, I would love to see Kyrie Irving on this team. I think Kyrie Irving is a perfect fit for this roster. I just like, I then again, Masai Ujiri does stupid shit all the time. Let's just be real about it. Masai Ujiri, like my number one complaint is that when he makes these trades, he tries to get ready now players. And let's be real. Clearly, he likes Emmanuel Quickly. So maybe there is a tie to Emmanuel Quickly where he thinks Emmanuel Quickly is great. To be fair, I think Emmanuel Quickly would be great in that system. I think Emmanuel Quickly is like a really perfect player to play next to Cooper Flag. But just like, it's a lot for the Raptors to give up for a guy coming off a major injury, and it's a lot for the Dallas Mavericks to have to commit to long-term because their salary flexibility is it's going to get tight at some point here. Let's see. Do you think Tyrese Halliburton will be at his best? You know what? It's impossible to know. I would say that based off the history of guys coming back from these injuries and how long Tyrese Halliburton's going to have to recover from that injury, because it's not like he rushed back to get back in April. Right. Certain guys rushed back to get back in April. He didn't do that. So now instead of that, like he got injured basically the beginning of June a year ago. So he's already at 14 months recovery. By the time that training camp opens up, he's at 16 months. That's a long recovery time. So I imagine he'll come back and he'll be good, right? It may take him a little while to get fully ramped up, but I imagine by mid-season, Tyrese Halliburton. The one scary thing is he is somebody that doesn't have like an extraordinary level of burst and athleticism, right? It's change of pace. It will be really, really interesting to see if he does lose 10%. Does that hamper him significantly, right? But I think he'll be back and he'll look great and he'll be a great player, and the Indiana Pacers are going to be excellent. Yeah, Jays are really getting to Nick Martinez right now, which is good to see. And you know what it is? They're being aggressive with his fastball. You can't get to changeup counts against him. The changeup is elite, right? So if you get into situations where you give him the opportunity to throw changeups in swing and miss counts, right? It's a really, really tough pitch. And if he does throw it, you gotta just lay off on it because like it's a hard pitch to hit. So they're being aggressive in the right ways right now. What jump does JoJo Parker make next year? I think JoJo Parker probably at the end of next year ends up getting a taste at the end of the season at AAA. he would have to take like an extraordinary jump to be able to get to the big leagues next year. And he could. Like, this kid is unbelievable. But the reality is I think that if he's finishing off this year at high A, so next year he can start at high A. If he starts at high A and plays really well for a month and a half, he'll go to double A. If he burns up double A, they will promote him, right? But I would imagine that they're gonna take this. He's still very young. He only just turned 20 last week. They have time to let him grow. So I don't think they're going to be in a big rush. But could he kick that door down? Absolutely. And he has the swing profile to kick that door down, right? This is a guy that can take a massive jump next year if he wants to. All right, let's see this comment here. Jay's been on a bit of an upswing recently. I think Vladdy getting rest right now to heal up is a good thing, though it's not having him out there. Yeah, the one concern I have is like over his last 7 before the injury, Vladdy was hitting 310, his 92 miles an hour average exit velocity. 18% was his launch angle. Like the 7 games, like the 8 days prior to the injury, man, Vladdy's swing looked awesome. Like, even his outs, he had 4 super deep fly balls to center field, just hit it to the wrong part of the park. Like, his swing was starting to look really good over the last 7-8 days. So for him to get that injury is unfortunate, because I think some things were turning for him. Like, you could really see the launch get back in the bat. He was starting to hunt fastballs a little bit more, which is also good. So this time could help him. My worry is that baseball is a timing sport, and anytime you step away, it's really, really hard to come back and have your timing right. So hopefully he comes back quick, comes back healthy, comes back looking good with easy bat speed. In this player empowerment era, teams sign guys to an extension only to trade them 3 weeks. What do you mean player empowerment? Like what do you mean by that? That's a confusing statement for me, because um, right now, like, the empowerment, like player empowerment from whose perspective is where the question is. Not Masai, he's gone. Masai runs Dallas. So yeah, that's who would be trading with. Makes Tatum recovery crazy. Yeah, well, and there was no need for Halliburton. If the Indiana Pacers were in a playoff hunt and they had a legitimate chance of winning, Tyrese Halliburton would have tried to come back last year, right? But yeah, Jason Tatum coming back that quick is wild, right? Just want to say, ball dropped a fall. Thank you, appreciate that, sir. Either way, the hell he has the stuff you can't teach. No, I agree. Even if he loses a bit, it's just like I said, it's the difference from being a elite player versus an all-star level player, right? That's the difference of what that 10% makes for a guy like Tyrese Halliburton, right? If he comes back at 85% of what he was, that's an all-star. It's just not a top 10, top 15 player in the league, right? And that's a big jump when you're trying to win a championship. Is Barger out for the season? Yeah, it looks that way. It looks like Barger's done for the year. Even if he came back right now, he'd have to ramp up, and like the ramp up period, but like he's not even back to baseball activities, right? So I think they're basically shutting him down. Who knows? Who knows what happens now that they're kind of back in the playoff race and shit, right? You might wake up and hear news, but Barger had elbow surgery. So if he comes back after having elbow surgery, that would be pretty remarkable. So yeah, no, he's done for the year. Yeah, I just talked about the Kyrie trade. I just don't think that the teams piece-wise make sense unless Dallas is going to take on Quickly. And I don't think they're going to get Quickly, Walter, and a first. I think they're going to get Quickly and one of those two pieces. If it was Walter or a first, I could see that, but I can't see both. But that's just also my 2 cents. And his counter is a clown. 100,000%. Hasn't gone to Driveline. All these guys do stuff like Driveline, dude. Like I work in a high performance facility, and like everybody has this equipment. Everybody has these teachings. It's no different. Driveline is great. I'm not saying Driveline's not great. You can go to Driveline in Oshawa. You know what I mean? Like, there are Drivelines everywhere, right? It's just essentially tracking software. Every system has the same ability to coach these systems, everything, right? The reality is fixing Vladimir Guerrero's launch angle to me has always been irrational, right? Everybody wants him to be a guy hitting 50 home runs, and that's cool. That's great. But you know what I'd rather? I'd rather him be Miguel Cabrera than be, you know, Joey Gallo. You know what I mean? And if you look through their careers, he's a lot closer to that than he is to that. If you tell him to just start worrying about loft and just selling out for loft and selling out for this, what you're going to get is a worse version of Vladdy. So I don't agree with it. I think home runs are so wildly overblown. That's not to say like the power this year is an issue, but like obviously I've talked about this a million times. I think there's something else going on there because there's other markers to dictate that. Um, but I just think that people get so caught up in, oh my God, he needs to hit more home runs. Man, I don't give a shit. Trent Grisham hit more home runs than Vladimir Guerrero last year. You making that trade? You know what I mean? You making that trade? Like, no, of course not. Right? Like, what, you want Richie Sexton? You want him to just sell out for bombs and strike out 200 times a year and be dog shit? You know, like the idea that people are so desperate for an extra quarter of a home run a week, one extra home run a month, because like that was what the issue was last year. Everybody said, oh my God, like he hit 23, he needs to hit 30. That's a quarter of a home run a week. That's a quarter of a home run a week. If you want him to sell out on power, he won't be as good of a hitter. I would much rather Vladdy be a great hitter who is inconsistent with power than a great power hitter who's a fucking worse hitter. Like that's just that's just my take on it. I just think the people who obsess about like moderate power increases, I just think they're bad at math. And I'm not talking to this person here. It's just like it's such a frustrating topic. People get so enamored with home runs and they forget how good people are as hitters. And Vladdy hits the F word out of the baseball. I gotta swear less. I'm trying to swear less. He's never been a guy who was supposed to be a 50 home run guy. The comp was always Miguel Cabrera. That was always the idea, a guy who would hit 30-ish home runs a year and be one of the better all-around hitters in baseball. That was always the comp. This 48 home runs season, it happened in Dunedin, guys. It happened in a minor league park, right? A bunch of the home runs that he hit wouldn't have went out of your average major league park. That is the reality of the situation. The worst thing that ever happened to the guy about the expectations is that he hit 48 in fucking Dunedin. It drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. People also overdo this shit too. They'll be like, oh my God, he just hits ground balls all the time and blah, blah. Like I used to hear people talk about Bo Bichette and be like, well, Vladdy just grounds into double plays all the time. Bo Bichette grounds into double plays more often than Vladdy does. Like it's just, there's a level of absurdity that happens to me with the Vladdy narrative. The Vladdy narrative just absolutely tears my goddamn brain apart. I don't understand it. I'll never understand. Like again, having a dog shit year, no question. Terrible season he's having, right? Also a wildly unlucky season if we just want to be objective. Like if we just want to be objective about it. Still bad year. Very, very unlucky year in terms of in terms of balls getting through, right? This is a guy who over his career is a 290 with an 850 OPS and has been one of the best hitters in baseball. Okay. And one of the best hitters in baseball up to age 27 ever. Right. This is the standard that we're holding him to. He has been extraordinary. Right. Last year, a little bit of a down year. Right. People complaining because he only hit basically 300 with an 850 OPS because it's only hit 23 home runs. People freaking out about it. And then what did he do when it mattered? Right? What did he do? That's all I'm saying. Year before that, 323, 940, OPS, 30 home runs. People freaked out. Oh my, only 30 home runs. Guys, if he's hitting 30 home runs and being that good consistently and not chasing, right? And taking his walks and forcing pitchers into the zone, right? I would rather have a good hitter with good power than a shit hitter with lots of power, right? That's just the reality. I just have a problem. I just have a problem with it. It frustrates me to no end. This shit about you need to be a 50 home run hitter. Guys, almost nobody is. He's never been one. Right? You know what I mean? And the other thing too is changing your swing midstream. It's not as easy as just, oh, you need to just change your angle, right? You need to change everything to change your launch angle. You need to change your attack angle, which means you need to change your entire approach in terms of the timing of your swing and how you're launching. It is not as easy as like, how hasn't he made that adjustment? It's his biodynamic swing, right? It's the swing that he uses with his body, right? It's not always as easy as just changing your swing. Your swing got you to the big leagues, right? Your swing got you into MVP conversations, right? The idea that you're going to change it midstream and can change it midstream after 20 years of having that swing is just, I don't know. Like as a baseball coach, the conversation just drives me insane. Dude, the Will Brick signing bonus, like I said, I thought it would be around $1 million above slot. So, like I said, it's high, but like hell of a player though. I think he's a damn good player. I think he's got a ton of potential. I think is the better way of framing that. Yeah, Raptors signed Malachi Smith to a Exhibit 10 contract. It's a camp signing at the end of the day. Oh, here we go. Just curious, but were you doing NFL previews or discussions with the season approaching? Hell yes, I will. And I was just saying too, with the stuff that I'm doing with True Sports Live now, they've actually come to me. So we're starting our basketball podcast. The first episode's already been recorded. We're going to be putting that in a couple weeks. Second episode's going to be recorded on Thursday. We've got a couple like massive interviews lined up, which is like, guys, you understand. It's knocking my brain out of my head with some of the access stuff that's happening, the amount of press credentials that we're going to be getting, the amount of access that we're going to have on interviews, it's nonsense. Like my life is weird right now. I'm like, honestly, it's so confusing. But they've also asked me, because I'm a multi-sport guy, if I will do more NFL, college sport, and Major League Baseball content for True Sports as well. So I've agreed. So I've talked to them as well about doing 3 podcasts. So we'll see how that goes, but it would be an NFL podcast, Major League Baseball podcast, and an NBA podcast. So I told them, I was like, why don't we just turn one of these into an everything podcast and do it almost like Pardon the Interruption? You know what I mean? So there's conversations happening, but yeah, I will be doing a lot of NFL content, especially long form content on the YouTube. So look out for that. And I talked about this earlier. As of today, I also have merch. So if you want to support the channel, if you want to support me kind of trying to get more opportunity to expand my content and really get myself out there and get out to more, access points, we'll call them, games, events, things like this. Like I said, the merch really helps. The profits from that are going to go directly back into trying to build this up and trying to get to more stuff, and so I can provide more content and do all this thing. So if you want to support the channel, you want to get some merch, check out my link tree. And the link is in there. It's just I designed the website. A couple people gave me ideas on what to do content wise, merch wise. It's all pretty simple. But if you want to support, it would be greatly appreciated. And I thank you for that. So look out for more content and everything else. Oh, nice, man. Yeah, no, we're going to do a lot of NFL stuff. I'll probably do a couple live broadcasts as well, where we do just full on breakdowns, where I probably talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers too much. But with my press credentials, you can actually catch me probably at multiple Tampa Bay Buccaneers football games this year, because I have access, which is wild to say. So wild. Yeah, man. Hardline drives pay. People, like I said, people underrate just the ability of just being a good hitter. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to really, really over-index power. Power's hyper important. Don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, like, he's a great hitter. You know what I mean? Just let him be a great hitter. The home runs happen, authentically, organically. You don't want him. I think right now the problem is that he is pressing for power. When you press for power, it usually doesn't go very well, right? So the pressing for power thing to me has always been nonsensical. Even when I was a player before they converted me to the mound, I was a fantastic power hitter. that's what I did as a big, huge man. Um, when I got to a higher level, the level of competition went up significantly. Um, the power didn't show up right away. I went through some struggles and I started really, really pressing to try to generate power and generate power. And like I said, thank God I had a big fastball because the hitting went downhill big time and I had to be converted to a pitcher. And that's what ended up happening, right? So pressing for power is not the thing you want to do, right? So it's just not at the end of the day. Yeah, no, well, and I say this all the time. I say, and this is not me talking about the hardcore fans. Okay. I'm talking about the casual fan base, right? Like the not even the entirely casual fan base, but like the even sometimes not casual fan base, like those in between fans, not quite casual, not quite like big time fans. A lot of them, if they're Raptors fans, they're Raptors fans. They're not basketball fans. They just watch the Raptors and subsequently whatever team is playing the Raptors that day. But they're not sitting down watching basketball outside of their team, right? The Leafs fans, they're not watching hockey. They're watching Leafs games. Jays fans, they're watching the Jays. They're not watching other games, right? Like and I understand there's a portion of the population that is. Most of the loud negative ones, they're just fans of the team that plays here that they like to watch on TV. They're not really huge fans of the sport. And like that'll piss people off. I don't really care. You know. That was in Jays. We can be. Yeah, and that's I do find that often it's the basis of the Leafs fans that are kind of creating the negativity, right? So I love Brett Bateman too. Like I said, I've he's been a good ad, and like I said, I was confident in his game. Yeah, Eric Getty, like I said, he felt good the other day in his rehab start. So hopefully he's up soon. Gun to your head, Blair Barker or Sid Seixeiro for Bears baseball knowledge? Shit. I would have to pick Blair and Barker just because Kevin Barker did play in the big leagues. That's the deciding option, right? So Blair and Barker for baseball knowledge have more baseball knowledge than Sid Seixeiro for sure. But you know, it's still dog shit media, but better than Sid Seixeiro. But like honestly, you can find people off the street that are better than Sid Seixeiro as a job. So like I said, Tim McAuliffe not there carrying him anymore, so it's tough. Kirky's gonna get out the cycle. Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's get Kirky a triple. It's gonna take I don't know, a cardiac event in the outfield. He's gonna have to hit down the right field line. Right fielder's gonna have to have a stroke or something for him to get a triple. But you never know what the day he's having. 5-0 Jays. Top of the fourth inning, 2 outs, runners first and third. That's the announcer voice. How's that? Oh, that scores another. Fucking right. There we go. Speed kills. Brett Bateman scores on a wild pitch. 6-0 Toronto Blue Jays. Here we go. Yeah, Kirky's. So this is the thing too. It's like even 2 weeks ago, I still had people going, "Man, Kirky needs to figure it out. Kirk needs to figure it out." It's like, guys, do we not realize how good he's been for a while now? Like I said this at the time when everybody's like, "Oh, Kirk's playing like shit." Like 2 weeks after he came back, I'm like, "Of course he is. He's coming back after missing 2 months in a game that's entirely dependent on timing. Of course, it's not going well." Post All-Star break, 77 ABs now, 92 plate appearances, 351, 435, 481 for a 916. That's before tonight. That's before the information coming in from tonight's game, right? He's been extraordinary. Also, if you want to go small sample size, batting in the 3-hole before tonight's game, 414, 485. You know what I mean? Like, Kirky's been going on top of the fact that, one of the truly elite defensive catchers in the damn game and on a great contract. That's the reality. No, Liam Hicks is Liam. So when they traded for Liam Hicks, and you can look at my Twitter if you want or whatever. I also did a live that day where I was going through the entire trade deadline. Like I stayed on live for like 6 hours or whatever doing the trade deadline. he's had a great year. Like Liam Hicks had a great year. He's still pretty young, but let's be real. It's luck-aided as shit. Like he has had a wildly lucky season, right? Batting average 30 points higher than his XBA, slugging nearly 100 points higher than his XBA, OBP, like I said, 54 points higher. Like his numbers as a whole are not very clean, right? They're very much on par with what he did last year when he was like a fine player. It's been a very luck-aided season for him, and anytime you see somebody, this is the opposite of the Vladimir Guerrero conversation where I said, like, you're waiting for him to break out of it because, the luck has been bad and there's a track record of performance to show you where it normally is. Liam Hicks, there is a track record to show you where it has been to a degree. And then this year it's been wildly lucky. So you're waiting for regression, right? For Vladdy, you're waiting for positive regression. But Liam Hicks, like I said, I have some questions when your bat's that slow and you rarely catch barrels and you almost never hit the ball hard. Because and that's not me talking shit. 6% bat speed, 8% hard hit percentage, 16% barrel rate, launch angle is launch angle sweet spots, 3rd percentile. It's tough. Now he doesn't strike out and he doesn't swing and miss, which is a huge help. But like I've got questions about how sustainable the power influx has been. And I have questions about where the defense falls. Now he is a mid-tier defender. Like he's not a bad defender, he's not a great defender, right? So he's fine on that end of things. Who's slower, Kirk or Stanton? Well, let's just look at the numbers. It's real easy. There are ways to be just straight objective. Alejandro Kirk this season, 23.4 feet per second. Giancarlo Stanton, let's take a look, 23.8 feet per second. So Stanton is slightly faster. Slightly faster. Yeah, I'm watching the Jays game while I stream. I got a big screen right in front of me there. I've got my setup back here. So yeah, right in front of my eyes. If you're watching where I'm watching above the camera, obviously TikTok people, you can't see from that angle anyways. But yeah, no, I'm watching above the camera because I'm watching the Jays game as we're talking about this. So you got to do it. So that was the question there by my friend Justin Greenwood. And yeah, Stanton 0.4 of a foot per second faster than Alejandro Kirk. So obviously not as much sample to go with off that though, because let's see where Stanton was last year. Because obviously that's a really small sample for Stanton. Last year is 23.5, essentially identical to Kirky, 0.1 foot per second higher than Alejandro. So I guess you just have to say straight up, Stanton's faster. Is the skiing stuff scary? I don't know. We'll see. The only thing I would say is that with the skiing stuff, like, dude, it's August. This is the dead arm period, right? This is where you do see guys have velo dips. And this is where you do see guys go through some dead arm periods. He wouldn't be the first pitcher. He wouldn't be the last pitcher, right? It does happen. So I'm not overly concerned about it until there's reason to, just because I don't like to speculate on like, is there a critical injury? Did he tear UCL? It's hard to say, right? He could just be going through a dead arm period. Maybe his UCL is blown out. Who knows? Right? So I'm not the doctor. And there's no real metrics. Like I said, you can look at velocity, but like he's also, like, I've watched him pitch a few times where the velocity's been down. It's not like he's trying to generate velocity either. Like he's not trying to max out to create more velocity. So, which is a good thing. Like when you look at Vladdy swinging at the plate like a couple weeks ago, he was having to max out to create bat speed. And that's where a lot of his problems came in. Paul Skeens, I'm watching it. It's free and easy. He's not overthrowing, nothing like that. So like that gives me more confidence that there's no major problem because he's not trying to compensate. And clearly he's not overly worried about the velocity because he's not trying to overcompensate. Yeah. Thoughts on the Kawhi situation? Talked about this a little bit earlier, but I'll reiterate again. NBA came out and said that report was wrong. My take on this is that the NBA, because this is a sensitive topic, they want to be the ones to release their information so they can make their cautionary statements and make their empty threats and say, don't you do this again. We're going to be watching you. And there's no suspension this time, but we're going to get you if you do this shit again. And that's why they don't want somebody else releasing the information. So I imagine they're going to do the board of governors thing. They're going to come together. They're going to make a statement, do their little press release, do a media thing, and then it will go through. But that's my read on the situation, because that's usually the way these things play out. That's a cold-blooded statement. Alejandro Kirk's cycle before an Embiid conference final would be so funny. So, yeah, no, I agree with that. Have you been watching the Tempo game? No. So I will watch the Tempo game later, but I am not currently watching right now because, like I said, between streaming and the Jays game, that takes priority at the moment. But I know that it's been a close game because I saw an update a little while ago saying that Tempo were down like 5. 57-49 for the Indiana Fever. Not bad. Like I said, it's it can be tricky sometimes. Yeah, Jay's up 6-0. Trust me, you got the TV right there. Yeah, no, it's been a good time to get hot, right? As it turns out, sometimes getting younger can be productive, right? So that's just what it is. And the Jays did a good job. They sold at the deadline. They sold off multiple pieces, got younger, made a big acquisition of Soriano, who's been great so far tonight. Well, been great in his start so far for the Jays. So, like I said, I have a lot of faith in this front office. I just, the people who hate on this front office, I frankly just don't understand them. Like, I don't understand. If Ross Atkins was from Whitby and Mark Shapiro was from fucking Etobicoke or some shit, you guys would want to build him a statue, right? Like, let's be real. And Alex Anthopoulos, asset management wise, was absolute dog shit. And you guys just loved the shit out of him for making disaster move after disaster move, right? He made 3 good trades in his entire time as a general manager. Now, those 3 trades were great trades. Like, don't get me wrong, but like he left this franchise in shambles. You know what I mean? Like he left the franchise in shambles. He adopted the greatest structured minor league system in the history of baseball. And like I said, took a team that was already supposed to be good and already on their way of being elite, to it's the Tom Brady Super Bowl, right? It's the Tom Brady with the Bucs Super Bowl. He lent to a team that was on the precipice of already getting there, and then got there and was able to take credit for it. That's the reality. Like I said, if Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins were from Ontario, if they were from Southern Ontario, you guys would want a statue and a lifetime contract. That's the reality. Or maybe if they had funnier sayings, maybe if they were like more like snarky, because that's what Toronto fans like. They just want you to say a couple times and say some snarky shit and just like disclose all their plans, rather than just doing a good job. That's yeah. And we've seen this in Leafs land over and over and over and over and over and over and over, right? So you guys would rather somebody charismatic than somebody good, right? It's the Masai Ujiri thing. If you gave me the opportunity to have Masai Ujiri run my franchise, or Mark Shapiro, there's a statement there I'm going to make, and people aren't going to like it. But yeah. What was the deal? Ketel Marte. They're saying that he's having an MRI in his knee right now. So we'll see if that's actually what's going on or if it's not. But Ketel Marte is having an MRI though. So is IQ the most underrated Raptor last year? Yes. If Emmanuel Quickley is making $20 million a year instead of 32, people will be talking about how fucking valuable he is. But people can't see past the contract and understand that the player is really good and a perfect fit for this team. Like such an essential skill set for this basketball team. I'll never understand it. Like, it's just, again, the lack of objectivity in fandom. We have to hate people, right? And that's just what it is. Leafs, Jays, or Raps for like a team that I like. Well, like there are very few teams on the face of the earth that I hate more than the Toronto Maple Leafs. Jays or Raptors, that's a real question, right? You put in my 4 big ones. which is, Jays, Raptors, Buccaneers, and Kings. It's a real conversation there. It's a real conversation. What are the expectations for the Raptors this year if Kawhi's here? I think you have to set the expectations at conference finals. You acquire a guy like that, and I think that becomes the minimum expectation. When you have Kawhi Leonard on your team, I don't think the expectations can go lower than conference finals. So I think that's where I'd put it at realistically. Thoughts on the Wizards coming into the season from player one? I love the young talent. I hate the Trae Young contract is abysmal. Like genuinely just an absolute donkey show of a contract. Giving him that term on that money is absurd. They were betting against themselves. I have no idea what they were doing with that. Investing almost $120 million per year into Anthony Davis and Trae Young is just asking for a disaster. So could they be a good regular season team? Yeah. Could they magically be healthy? Yeah. Do I like it? No. Would I have done it? No. Do I love the core of young players that they have, though? Absolutely, I do. So it's a really, really big mixed bag for me because I love the young core so much. But by the time Sarr and Koulibaly and Trey Johnson and Keyshawn George and all these guys, Will Riley, by the time they need contract extensions, the Trae Young money still exists. And that Trae Young money will prevent them from signing one of those players. So I hate it. So could they be a good regular season team? Yeah. Am I excited for their future? Yeah. Did they absolutely make a disaster of the Trae Young deal? Absolutely they did. And if they re-sign Anthony Davis on term for $60+ million, I don't have any hair, but I'd pull it out. That would be the reality. Run rise because of Hoffman's energy is gone. No, Jeff Hoffman was great this year. I'll never understand this at all. Maybe this guy's trolling me. I don't know, but like Jeff Hoffman was great this year. Like people need to stop this shit. The guy gave up 2 runs since June 1st. like are we shit? Like are you shitting me? Like I don't know, man. I feel so bad for the guy. Everybody just absolutely hates him because Toronto fans can't be objective. That's just the reality. This is the least objective fan base in the entire world. You guys have to hate people, and it drives me insane. So, no. By the same logic, you know what? Fine. The team's playing better because Kevin Gosman's gone. Kevin Gosman's out of the locker room, and that's why they're playing better. Like, does that sound reasonable? Right? Is that reasonable? Do they seem super excited that Dalton Varsho was gone? No. Players were in tears with those guys leaving, right? Do you see the stuff with Hoffman hugging guys and Varsho hugging guys and Gossman hugging guys and shit? They're all crying. They all love each other, right? So we need to stop this bullshit because it drives me insane. The statements of people who've never been in the locker room before drives me nuts. Yeah, Soriano doesn't have his best stuff today, but like honestly, grinding through and still looking pretty damn good, all things considering. But yeah, no, I apologize for getting all fired up there on that diatribe, but like it just bothers me when people try to melt things down to one player. I mean, especially when from all accounts it's like a very well liked player in the clubhouse. I just won't understand. Who was my favorite player on the 2019 Raptors team? Marc Gasol was one of my favorite players ever, right? So when the Raptors got Marc Gasol, I was very, very happy just because like I loved Marc Gasol so much. I was a big OG Anunoby guy because of the draft stats. I had him ranked incredibly high in the draft. So I was a big OG Anunoby guy. Like I said, I think like everybody else, like I love the bench unit, right? So but Marc Gasol was like my guy. Norm Powell was a guy that I loved in college. So, that was part of it as well. But that whole team, man, that whole team was just so bloody likable, But yeah, Gasol is like one of my 10 favorite players in the history of basketball. So I'd have to say that the answer to that is Gasol. But there's obviously room for conversation there as well. Is that all she wrote? Is that going to be the end of it? So Rays just scored a run, but it's still 6-1. I still feel pretty good. So we're going to go from there. But like I said, if you don't subscribe on YouTube, if you don't follow me other places, do that. If you haven't checked out the merchandise, and I do mean literal merch, that's not like a forward suggestion. Go to my link tree, check out the new merch. It supports me pursuing more content. Essentially, at the end of the day, all profits from that go back into me trying to expand this. So, if you want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. And like I said, I appreciate everything you guys are doing, and hopefully going forward, you guys can check out more of the content and check out more of the conversations and see the new podcasts will be coming out soon. Because I'm very, very excited about that. And that's called Slumming in the Cheap Seats. And myself and Malik are super pumped about it. So, yeah, I hope everybody has a brilliant day. I hope everybody's doing great. And I'll see you next time. All right. Have a good day. Bye, guys.